This is DW News, live from Berlin. The European Union promises progress on Ukraine's bid to join the EU. The top Democrat in the US Senate calls for political change in Israel. A big welcome to our viewers around the world. I'm Raheela Mahomed. We begin in France, where voters are casting their ballots in a tightly contested presidential election runoff. Opinion polls suggest pro-Europe Emmanuel Macron is on course for another 5-year term in the Élysée Palace. But his far-right opponent, Marine Le Pen, has mounted a strong challenge. The Red Cross is warning that the healthcare system in Gaza has reached the point of no return. Gaza's health authority, run by Hamas, says Israeli airstrikes have hit the territory's biggest hospital. The Israeli military says it's active near the Al-Shifa complex and that Hamas command posts are located under buildings in the area. Now, you've said that the hospitals are meant to be a place of safety and refuge for many people right now. Israel says that they're striking Hamas targets. Now, based on the information that you have and what your colleagues on the ground are telling you, what signs have you seen of Hamas operations in and around the hospitals? Aid agencies have called on the parties to the conflict to take immediate steps to protect the lives of children. But with a ceasefire currently off the table, what would those steps be? We start with Iran, where demonstrations have been called across the country after a second protester was executed. Majid Reza Ranavad was detained during anti-government protests. He was convicted for allegedly stabbing 2 security officers to death during demonstrations. To Haiti now, where the capital, Port-au-Prince, is seeing an uptick in violence after days of relative calm. There's also been some movement on the diplomatic front. Who has left and who's still there? Coming out of Russia, where authorities say at least 60 people have been killed and more than 100 have been injured after shooters stormed a concert hall and opened fire in Moscow. The so-called Islamic State has claimed responsibility. Now, the last leader of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, has been laid to rest in Moscow. Gorbachev died on Tuesday at the age of 91 after a long illness. Crowds lined up to see the former president lying in state. The West has clearly a very different view of his legacy. Why do you think there has been such a stark difference in how he's viewed in the West and in the former Soviet Union? Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that he's calling for comprehensive peace talks with Moscow. Are you optimistic that this will happen? Many are waiting to see if this ceasefire holds long enough for them to leave Sudan. Now, more foreign governments are scrambling to get their diplomatic staff and civilians out, and Sudanese residents are trying to do the same. As the fighting enters a 3rd week, some Sudanese say they've had enough and are taking a stand. They're protesting, calling for an end to the violence and putting up what they say is a dignified resistance to the fighting between the army and the rapid support forces. Germany's largest airport is being criticised for suggesting passengers should buy colourful suitcases to reduce the risk of losing their luggage. Frankfurt Airport is one of many around the world struggling to deal with a lost luggage crisis. So what can one do to prevent your suitcase getting lost? A reminder, you can find much more news, analysis and video on our website, that is dw.com. You can also follow us on social media. We're at DW News on Instagram, Twitter and on Facebook. I'm Raheela Mahomed. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.